Key skill 5, well done, you've got really far in this series. In key skill 5, we're going to be finding the sum of the first 7 terms in the sequence. So what a sum is the answer that you would get if you were to add each term up until the 7th term. So the first added with the second, added with the third, added with the fourth, added with the 5th, 6th and 7th. If you were to plus them all together. Sum is a very fancy word for plus. Now in this case we're not going to work out all the terms, although you could work out all 7 terms and plus them together and you would get the same answer. But we're going to learn how to use our sum formula that we've already proved, because if you had a big number like find the sum of the first 20 terms, it would simply take too long in the exam to work out all 20 terms. So just like when we were using the nth term, we're going to start by writing down A and D, and then we're going to find our formula. First of all, you want to copy down your formula, and then you want to substitute inside it. So I'm going to replace A with -1 and D with 2. So that would be -2, multiply the bracket, 2n minus 2. So the formula would be Sn is n divided by 2, 2m minus 4. But I'm going to stop using these big, now I've got only something little in, so I'm just going to use normal brackets. So Sn will be n divided by 2 times 2m minus 4. Now if I want the sum of the first 7 terms, I'm simply going to replace n with 7. So S7 is the notation I would use to explain that I've worked out the answer when I plus together the first 7 terms in the sequence. Work out your inside bracket first. We've run out of space. So 2 times 7 is 14. 14 take away 4 is 10. You need to do 7 over 2 times 10. I'm going to cancel down the 2 and the 10 for 5. So the sum of the first 7 numbers is 7 times 5, which is 35. In question 2, we've got something a little bit more complicated, because we've been asked to find the sum of the terms between 3 and 8. So what they actually want is, if you were to think, you've got all the terms, okay, so some of them we know, 5, 3, 1, some of them we don't know. But what they're actually asking us for is between 3 and 8. So we want to know the answer for U3 added with U4, added with U5, U6, U7, and U8. So how we're going to do this is we're going to find the sum of the first 8 terms, which would imagine that would be all of these added together, and we're going to subtract the answer for the first 2 terms added together. So in effect, we're going to do S8, which would be adding all of these together, and we're going to minus U1 and U2, and that will give us the total as if we were adding U3 up to U8. So to do this, my voice is starting to crack. So to do this, we're going to start by finding a formula for Sn. For now, I'm going to leave the n blank, because later on I'll replace it with 8 and 2 to get the calculation that I need. So 2 times A is 5, plus D must be minus 2, because I'm decreasing by 2 each time. And that gives me a formula for Sn in terms of n. So all I need to do to find any sum that I want is plug in the value of n. So if I would like to find S8, I can take my formula and replace it with 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 minus 16 is minus 4. So the sum of the first 8 terms is going to be minus 16. It's a negative number because the sequence is decreasing. Now to find S2, in this case, I could just look here and see that it would be 5 plus 3, 8. But just to prove that our formula works, let's calculate S2 with our formula. So 12 minus 4 would be 8. So it would be 1 times 8 would be 8. So to calculate the final answer, I need to do S8, take away S2. So S8 was minus 16, take away 8. So my final answer would be minus 24. In the last couple of questions, we're going to be asked to solve for n. We're going to be given the summation and we're asked to work backwards until we can find n. So in this question, we've been told what Sn is, we've been told what A is and what D is, but what we don't know is what n is. So we're going to start by writing out a formula. I'm going to replace A with 2 and D with minus 3. Now we know that Sn is minus 285. Times that by 2. You can use your calculator if you want. And multiply this bracket out, what would be n. Bring everything to one side. And then you would need to factorize or solve using the quadratic formula this expression. Because it's so big, I think I'm going to solve with the quadratic formula. So that would give me 15 if I took plus, or if I put minus, here I would get minus 38 over 3. You can eliminate that answer because n should be positive and a whole number. The last question is very similar to the previous one, but now we have an inequality. What this question is saying is find the value of n, which means that the sum is above 30. It doesn't need to be equal to 30. It needs to have surpassed 30. So this is going to be an inequality question. If you remember in the beginning, I mentioned if you weren't very good with your inequalities, you should go back and revise that. The method is going to be very similar, but now we're going to have Sn greater than 30. So we're going to use the formula for Sn. We're going to replace A with 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. Plus D is 2. Let's tidy up inside that bracket. So that means that inside the bracket you would have 2n plus 6. There's 2 ways to do this. You could divide both of these by 2, or you could times the 30 by 2. Now I've only got 2 things left. I'm going to change these to curved brackets. So 30 times 2. Multiply out the brackets. 2n squared plus 6n is bigger than 60. And bring the 60 across. Now, because these are all multiples of 2, I'm going to divide everything by 2. So this won't factorize normally, so what we're going to do is again use the quadratic equation. Okay, so my first solution would be my first solution would be 4.17 approximately, or 1/8, 2 decimal places. And the second solution would be minus 7.18. Now what you want to do is you want to imagine that the summation is like this. It's a curve and your 2 points of intersection are here and here. If you're refreshed on quadratic inequalities, you'll know the method I'm talking about. What you've actually done is found the points of intersection with the axes. Now, the summation will be positive here and here. So it would be positive when n would be less than minus 1.718 and when n is greater than 4.18. Now, this value would be eliminated because n needs to be a positive number. So we eliminate any negative number. And in the same sense, n needs to be greater than 4.18, and n should be a whole number. So the first number that's greater than 4.18 and a whole number would be 5. So if you were to calculate S5, it should be a number greater than 30. You could calculate S5 quickly by going like this. If you look back here, we've already got an expression for Sn. If you put in 5 into that expression, 2 times 5 is 10 plus 6, which would be 16. So you'd have 5 over 2 times by 16. The 2 and the 16 could cancel down to be 8. So 5 times 8 would be 40. So S5 would be 40. Now if you compare that with S4, so this would be S4. This would have been S5. S4 would be 4 over 2, 2 times 4 plus 6. 4 over 2 would be 2. That would be 8 plus 6, which would be 14. So it would be 2 times 14, which would be 28. So you can see S4 would be too small. It would be below 40, but S5 at 40 would be above. So that wraps up everything you need to know for now about summation of an arithmetic sequence. In Key Skill 6, we're going to be looking at questions that are mixed. They are part nth term and part summation of a quadratic formula. I'm really sorry my voice is going. That's what happens when you film a lot. And I look forward to filming tomorrow with a less croaky voice. Key Skill 6. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you guys. Like, subscribe, and make sure you're following along on the website and doing all your exam questions. I'll see you guys in the next video.